everyone, my name is Wanda Wix, she, her, owner and principal inventor for Wanda Funk Technologies, supplier of premium Magitech and technomagical sex toys across the known multiverse. And today, we're going to be playing Studio Zom's 2019 masterpiece, Disco Elysium. Now, this is going to be a fully spoiled playthrough. I'm going to be showing off as much of this fantastic RPG as possible and providing my insights and commentary interpretation as we go. So if you were thinking of experiencing this game for yourself, please click away. Or alternately, just watch this stream, then play through the game yourself in the intervening week before the next stream. To be honest, I'm going to be taking my time and commenting on everything. We're probably not going to get too far in the first 2 hours. And the first thing that I want to talk about, what the heck is a Zom anyway? Now, this game was made by Studio Zom, and Studio Zom is largely headlined by Robert Kurvitz, an Estonian novelist who came up with this whole world of Elysium while listening to DJ Tiesto for some reason. Now, Robert Kurvitz named his video game studio, Zom, after a language created by Russian poets in 1901. Unlike Esperanto and other constructed languages, Zom, the language, was intended to not convey meaning clearly. None of the words are allowed to be onomatopoeias, the grammar shifts around. It's mostly used for creating poetry, and by poetry I mean sequences of sounds that you basically can't interpret at all. And even if you did interpret, by the rules of the language, that interpretation would then be not valid for the next person. Kurvitz, over a century later, took this name and put it in all caps and put a slash through it. In his words, this was to make it look like something that definitely exists and weighs 8 tons. It's a typographical way of turning a pavlova into a brick, to take the imprecision of language and the way that different brains talk to each other and making it a concrete thing. But note where the slash is between the za and the The original etymology of Zom was from Russian, za being beyond or above, and meaning the mind. Putting them together implies that Zom, the language, is above or beyond what a mind can deal with. Placing a slash between them implies that what we're about to see is not only beyond the human mind, but somehow not even fully related to it. And this is present in the game itself. There are skills such as shivers, where information is presented to you not through your brain technically, but through other parts of your nervous system. I, for one, think that's fascinating. Now then, before we begin, there is some other thing that I need to do. I'll try and make it as quick as possible, so bear with me, okay? I am about to stream this game. It's called Disco Elysium. It's guaranteed to blow your mind and take away your tedium. It's artsy, smart, and beautiful. I'm not the first to tell you so. However, if you're watching, there's a couple things you've gotta know. There's suicide and regicide and homicidal maniacs, historical atrocities recounted by some brainiacs, narcotics, and erotic content that a minor should avoid, as well as frank depictions of the tempting calling of the void. There's mental illness, haunting stillness, people talking politics. There's poverty and desperation and a world you cannot fix, depression and obsession, and your memories are all a blur. And a femme fatale who laughs when you try to fuck with her. I suppose I should have mentioned there's offensive language here as well, like fucking shit and cunt and ass and bastards who can go to hell. There's hate speech for all people, groups both real and fantastical, as well as a bespoke new slur for people who wear spectacles. They made up a bespoke new slur for people who wear spectacles, a brand new slur for everyone who wears a pair of spectacles. Binoclard is the new word for someone with corrective spectacles. There's vomiting and gunshot wounds and bodies hanging from a tree. There's heart attacks and liver failure and some weird phrenology. There's murder, rape, and child abuse, both physical and sexual. Although the latter is a joke, just trust me, it's contextual. There's racism and sexism and every ism you could name. There's horrible conditions and your character's the one to blame. You did a lot of stupid stuff under the influence of hooch. And also it's implied at some point you ran over someone's pooch. There's world-ending phenomena and giant gunships in the sky. There's fascists and there's communists. Apocalypse is drawing nigh. In short, if you are traumatized by interactive medium, this is your content warning for the game Disco Elysium. Okay, I think that covers at least half of it. Turn the music back on, and let's get started. New game. Now, as you can see, we are provided with 3 different archetypes: thinker, sensitive, and physical. Thinker gives us 5 in intellect, and our signature skill is encyclopedia. Sensitive gives us a 5 in psyche, and our signature skill is inland empire. Physical gives us our 5 in physique. Note that the abbreviation for physique is spelled with an F, and signature skill hand-eye coordination. But of course, we're going to be creating our own. I mean, why wouldn't you? Let's get started. Okay, so these 4 stats: intellect, raw brain power, how smart you are; psyche, sensitivity, how emotionally intelligent you are; physique, your musculature, how strong you are; and motorics, your senses, how agile you are. A lot of RPGs attempt to condense down the probability of success or failure at things and enumerate all the possible things that a character can do. In Dungeons & Dragons, which was the original thing that inspired Robert Kurvitz, obviously that's strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. In the case of this game, though, these 4 stats they're elemental. Much like the 4 elements, or the 4 humors, or the 4 Ninja Turtles, these 4 things not only govern how you interact with the world, but they're also each associated with different ideologies, which I think is very interesting. Anyway, our options are, they go as high as 6. Now, I am an inventor. Obviously, intellect is going to be my highest stat, and then the rest I'm putting into motorics. And for each of the 4 stats, we have 6 skills, a total of 24 new friends who we're going to get to know over the course of the game. But of these 24 friends, only 1 can be our best friend. And in this case, we're going to be making it interfacing. Because, again, as an inventor, I like to work with technology. That's kind of my whole thing. Interfacing. Master machines. Pick locks and pockets. Now, before I go any further, I just want to point out the different colors that are associated with the 4 stats. Intellect, of course, light blue. Psyche is an indigo. Physique is a reddish fuchsia. And motorics, what we're looking at right now, is a golden yellow. These 4 colors are going to be important to remember. And each of these 24 skills has a longer write-up. I'm only going to be reading those spaced out over the course of our playthrough, but for our signature skill, I'm going to read this one right now. Interfacing. Cool for machinists, tinkerers, instrument players. Interfacing wants you to connect to machines, to use and improve them, because that makes you a better human organism. It enables you to understand interactions with machines, be that how to repair the motor of a Kanema motor carriage, how to analyze the way a suspect used a pen, or how to refigure electrical circuits. It even lets you steal keys off a keyring without being noticed. At high levels, interfacing will isolate you from society. Why bother with people when you can just talk to machines? And why bother with things like money when you can just pocket that display sandwich? At low levels, however, you will have a crucial part of the world cut off from you. People use machines to commit crimes all the time. If you can't understand how a crime was accomplished, how can you solve it? Now, setting interfacing as our signature skill gives us an extra point in it, so you can see all the rest of these are 4, and interfacing is now 5. Also, it increases the cap. Ordinarily, we can only put as many as 4 points into a motoric skill, but now we'll be able to put 5 in all of these, because our nervous system, I guess, is just really, really good. That's it for character creation. We don't really get to pick anything else, so let's go. Furies are at home in the mirror. It is their address. Even the clearest water, if deep enough, can drown. That, of course, was, Furies, not furries, referring to the creatures from Greek myth. Now, before I hit begin here, I would just like to read the full poem, if you don't mind. The Furies are at home in the mirror. It is their address. Even the clearest water, if deep enough, can drown. Never think to surprise them. Your face approaching ever so friendly is the white flag they ignore. There is no truce with the Furies. A mirror's temperature is always at 0. It is ice in the veins. Its camera is an X-ray. It is a chalice held out to you in silent communion, where gaspingly you partake of a shifting identity, never your own. It's worth noting that the original working title of this game was going to be No Truce with the Furies. I'm kind of glad they didn't go with that. It really doesn't reflect what the game is about. And reflect is exactly what the game is about. That poem is called Reflections. Harry, in a moment, is about to encounter a mirror and is going to have to answer the question of who he is. But part of answering the question of who he is confronting who he wants to be. And there will be many more mirrors, metaphorical ones, throughout the course of the game. I happen to think it's an apt metaphor. Looking at yourself. This is, in many ways, a very navel-gazy game. Honestly, the vast majority of dialogue we're going to encounter is going to be in the main character's head. But anyway, you'll all see that soon enough. Begin, I should note, is an anagram for being. So, let's begin being.
There is nothing, only warm primordial blackness. Your conscious ferments in it, no larger than a single grain of malt. You don't have to do anything anymore.
Oh, I love that voice. That, by the way, was Mikey W. Goodman. You're going to be hearing a lot more of him, and I think it really helps sell what kind of game this is, that is the first voice you hear. Our ancient reptilian brain, by the way, is deep in our spinal cord. It's not really an actual structure of the brain. It's more a way of thinking about what the brain is. Anyway, continue.
Ever.
Sweet.
Never, ever.
As you can see, I've got 2 options. Never, ever, ever?
Never, ever, ever, baby.
Again, it is so important that this is the first voice we hear. It absolutely sells the tone of the game and sets your expectations going forward. I'm going to simply keep on non-existing. Note that whenever you see an option in brackets, it indicates an action.
An inordinate amount of time passes. It is utterly void of struggle. No ex-wives are contained within it.
My options are, this is great, give me some more, or, what was that about the X something? Now, I personally prefer to exist than not exist. For those of you who are familiar with my whole deal, I actually have died at least once, technically. And I didn't care for it. So, what was that about the X something?
An awareness creeps up on you. A mass lies hidden in your dead angle, soaking in some lurid acidic sauce. It's bloated and shameful, a ball of meat surrounding you. This is a terrible line of questioning, and it will only lead to more awareness of the meat thing.
Now, the limbic system is a part of your brain that's slightly above the ancient reptilian brain. It's not quite on the level of conscious thought, but it is the part of the brain that handles emotions and instinctual reactions to pain, for example. I also want to take a moment to talk about the phrase dead angle. You might not know what a dead angle means if you're not familiar with siege warfare. Imagine a castle, and you're up on a parapet and you're shooting down at enemy soldiers. If an enemy soldier manages to get close enough to the wall, and if there's an overhang, you can't shoot directly down at them. They're so close to you that you cannot see them. That's what the ball of meat, which, spoilers, that's our physical body, that's what that is talking about. We're so close to it that we can't see it. You can't see the water you're swimming in. You can't be aware of the thing that you are. And much of the game is going to be about becoming aware of the thing that you are. Anyway, where our options are plunge back into the fathomless deep, or no, I wanted to know about the X something. And I want to know about the X something.
X love, X tenderness. It is foolish of you to resurface to the loss. Not after all the damage you suffered to get here. Some of it irreversible. Stay. Sail with me through the abyssopelagic zone.
I probably don't have to explain this one. The abyssopelagic zone is a very, very low layer of the ocean. And our options are, allons-y, never let me go. That's our first, but definitely not our last usage of the French language. Allons-y means let's go. You probably know that if you watch Doctor Who. And the other option is, no, I want to get off now. I like pain and burning light and wanting things from people who don't want to give them to me. And that's what we're going to pick.
Do you really?
Don't be naive, of course. I want to sail the inky blackness until forever ends. But no, I do. Let me off.
You wouldn't like it if I told you what was back there. Why'd you think you had to bludgeon yourself into oblivion? Or did you not sense yourself marinating? Poured so much on yourself. Got a bit carried away, did we, Chef?
So our options are, wait, I did this to myself? Tell me, what's waiting for me? Or, I don't care. I'm an idiot, a brave idiot. Now, I will mention, in the vast majority of playthroughs, we would have a third voice popping in here, Inland Empire, telling us to ask this one to see what's waiting for me. Inland Empire did not trigger here because we only put 1 into our psyche. Thus, our Inland Empire is only at 1, and that's not high enough to trigger this. I'm gonna ask it anyway.
There's this giant ball there. An evil apes. And the evil apes are juking it out on the ball. You're one of them. It's basically all just evil apes juking it out on a giant ball.
How big is the ball?
Can't even make out it's a ball when you're joking it out. It's that large.
By the way, if you were ever curious about the etymology of duking it out, it comes from Cockney rhyming slang. You see, people would refer to their hands as forks, because they got 5 tines on the end and you use them to handle food. Forks then rhymed with Duke of York, which got shortened to dukes, hence put up your dukes, hence duking it out. Doesn't have any relevance here, I just wanted to mention it. How small are the apes?
Infinitesimally small.
And this duking it out I keep hearing about, what's that?
Vying for resources. It's just a stupid expression you picked up somewhere. The part of the presentation you want to take home with you is this. You have to beat the other evil apes in the face, or you lose.
This will not be the last time we hear the phrase, the part of the presentation you want to take home with you. It's a weird phrase. I just thought I'd point it out because, well, it might be significant. Anyway, evil apes duking it out. That sounds sad.
Yes, it is. And you drowned in that sadness a long time ago.
What do you mean drowned?
You lost.
Okay, now before we go any further, note that continue has this oil stain on it of light blue. we know that light blue is the color of intellect. So one of our intellect skills is about to make a statement of some sort.
The sound outside. You recognize it. It's a Caprice Canina motor carriage.
That's the sound we're hearing right now. Thank you, Encyclopedia. Now, what just happened was a passive check. You can see here the check required to succeed was medium, meaning 10, and our total was a 12. We have a 6 in intellect, which means that we rolled a 6 on the dice to get a 12. That's how the math works. Don't worry, it'll be self-explanatory going forward. Open your eyes. Behold! This is our protagonist. White male, early 40s, although he doesn't know that yet, wearing a white pair of tighty-whities, well, they're mostly white, and a black pair of knee-high socks. Note our face down in the corner here. It's weirdly blurry. That's on purpose. You'll see why in a moment. Anyway, first thing I want to check is this window. Now, you will note that a lot of other things, when I mouse over them, will light up green. Green is the whatever color. It just means this is a thing you can do. Yellow, however, is motorics. And motorics is the stat associated with the skill for perception. If something is lit up yellow, it lets you know that you're only seeing it because your perception was high enough. If we had perception at 1, we wouldn't be able to notice the broken window at all. Let's check it out.
The window stands broken in its frame. Cold wind blows in.
Let's look out.
The morning light hurts your eyes. It's hazy, but you see the ocean and some war-torn buildings.
That's our first hint of where we are in the world. There's an ocean nearby, and the buildings are visibly war-torn. Now, here's a check we're going to make on purpose. Visual calculus, which is also an intellect skill. Note it's very high. That's because we're trying to get a 9, and our intellect is a 6. So we really only have to get a 3 or higher. Technically, I believe it's actually 97.7 repeating percent, but they round up or down. They don't want you to have to deal with decimals. Anyway, let's go.
The shards face outward. Whatever broke this window came from the inside.
Visual calculus is the skill that lets us see what happened in the world. It's sort of the Sherlock Holmes thing. Did I break it with my own hands? Let's look at our hands.
A fine web of scarring covers the back of your right hand, but none of it is recent.
What did this then?
More likely a projectile than a held object. There are no fragments on the floor from pulling a tool back in after impact.
Wait, what am I doing?
Something you've done before.
Assess the size of the impact.
It is too large for a bullet, yet too small for a piece of furniture. You're looking for something heavy and larger than your fist. Like the green shoe that's on the hat rack in the corner, which, coincidentally, is missing its friend. Congratulations, you smashed the window with your own shoe. Now you only have one. If you're lucky, you can still find the other on the balcony outside. The door to it should be outside your room.
Maybe it wasn't me?
You mean someone else took your shoe off and smashed the window with it?
Note, the light blue. We're going to get another intellect skill chiming in.
This person also forced the drinks on you.
Thank you, Logic. I should go get that shoe.
The cool wind gushes in. Your toes curl up from the cold.
Note, we gained 5 experience from that. Doing little stuff gives us little amounts of XP, and completing our tasks will give us more. We now have a task, find your other shoe. if we check our journal here, we can see that's a task. Seems like your green snakeskin shoe is missing its partner. You should find it before you go venturing into the wild unknown. 2 shoes are better than 1. Unite them again. Now, we don't have a lot of other information yet. We haven't encountered a map, so we don't know where we are. And our officer profile, we don't know anything about ourselves. Alright. Now, these are orbs. They'll just give us more information about the environment that we're in. It's how we observe the world and how the game lets you know that there's something you can click on, but not necessarily interact with. There are going to be thousands upon thousands of these orbs, and yes, they are called orbs in at least some of the dialogue. So, pound for pound, this game has more pondering of orbs than any other game that might feature actual wizards. This magnum-sized bottle of Commodore Red is empty. Let's put our pants on. Take. Now, that gave us one of these. Note, again, it is yellow, indicating that it's to do with one of our motoric skills. In this case, perception.
You hear a jingle. Keys are clinking in the pocket of your flare-cut pants.
Let's fish them out.
It says, whirling in rags, on the aluminium keyring. There is a single key on the ring. The number 1 is etched on it. It should open the door.
Now, I really want to highlight the absolute genius in terms of game design of requiring this. Of course, it doesn't make sense that we need a key to open our door from the inside, but in order to get this far, we have to put our pants on. We can, of course, take them back off again, but it ensures that we can't accidentally go out into the world in our underwear. Also, it ensures that we have to click on that orbiting motorics orb in order to, get this check, which means that it shows the player, here's a thing you're going to have to interact with, be sure to notice when they pop up. It's sad to say a lot of players don't immediately notice that there's an orb orbiting their head that they might need to click on. And this is most important of all, aluminium. They could have made that metal anything, but the phrase aluminium tells you whatever else is about to happen, don't think American. You could pretty easily ignore a U in color or kilometers or Celsius, but aluminium hits like an aluminium baseball bat. Anyway, let's get back at it.
The Whirling in Rags is a hostel cafeteria on the urban coast, frequented by dock workers.
Thank you very much, Encyclopedia. This one was challenging. You can see it was 12, and we only just made it. Now, we're going to take a look at the ceiling fan here.
This fan has 2 chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan, the other in a light bulb. A truly horrific necktie has somehow attached itself to one of the blades.
By the way, this narrator is not Mikey W. Goodman. It's Lenval Brown. Get used to his voice. You're going to be hearing it a lot. Savoir-faire, medium 10. Grab the tie. That's less of a guarantee. But this is an excellent way to showcase how the system works. As you can see, we have to make a 10, our savoir-faire is a 3, so we have to roll a 7 or better on 2d6, which is pretty even odds. But what if we do this first?
The blades come squeaking to a halt. It should be easier to reach the tie now.
Take a look. With a +3 to the check because the fan is turned off, now we only have to roll a 4, which is pretty good, 92. And check this out as well. Our pants affect our stats. They give us a +1 to electrochemistry, tight around the crotch, but a -1 to savoir-faire because they're tight around the thighs. These golden brown trousers are flare cut. Normal bell bottoms would be boot cut, but these are far from normal. They are someone's piss-soaked, cum-stained party pants. if I take them off again... Oh, nope.
This fan has 2 chain pull switches.
Now our savoir-faire is up to a 4,
In a light,
and our
a truly
odds of succeeding are
attached
97%.
to one of the blades.
I basically only fail this on Snake Eyes, but I'm still not going to do it. We're not getting the tie yet, and that is for a very good reason. You might note over here, we only have 1 bar of orange and 1 bar of blue. This is our health, this is our morale. We only have 1 point in each. If I take any damage whatsoever, it's game over. Putting those 2 stats at a 1 has made this incredibly challenging. Or at any rate, it would be for someone who doesn't know this game inside and out and has a genius IQ. So anyway, we're just going to leave for now. I shall return for you, Ty. In the meantime, let's get our jacket. Put our pants back on here. Now then, jacket. +1 esprit de corps, halogen watermarks. Looks like someone skinned this blazer off some long-extinct disco animal. It has an enigmatic white rectangle on the back and the right sleeve. Now, we've seen so far 2 stats that are French. Like I mentioned, there's going to be plenty of French in this game. Savoir-faire and esprit de corps. Esprit de corps. A literal translation from the French would be spirit of the body. But a more fitting translation would be camaraderie. Connect to Station 41. Understand. Cop culture. Spoilers, we're a cop. A weird one, but we are technically a cop. Savoir-faire. Literal translation, to know how to do it. More fitting translation, smooth. Sneak under their noses. Stun with immense panache. I'll read the full info later. For right now, let's finish getting dressed. Another orb. Words fail to describe how rank it smells in here. They should have sent a poet. You see bottles in the bathtub. Wine, beer, and sweet liqueurs. There's our shirt. White satin shirt. +1 to conceptualization. A real statement to wear. -1 to suggestion. Unsavory odor. This white satin shirt used to be fancy. It used to really catch the light. Now it smells like someone took a piss in the armpits. So that's 2 garments we're wearing that canonically smell like piss. It's worth noting that in the rest of the game, when we pick up clothing, we will not automatically immediately put it on. Now, this bathroom, as you can see, it's implied. This is where the toilet is. Bathtub, sink, mirror. There's a door here. Can't open it. Completely unintuitive and completely understandable that you would not understand why that is. Why would there be a door there if you can't click on it? And the reason is there's another hotel room over here, and both hotel rooms share this bathroom. So the other tenant, who hasn't yet moved in here, could unlock this door and use this bathroom, and presumably would be able to see through these vents on the door that we kicked down. I assume there's a similar vent down here, whether or not the bathroom is in use by the other tenant. Anyway, like I said, this game is largely going to be about mirrors. So let's check out this one.
A mirror hangs above a bent and broken sink. In a fierce discharge of masculine energy, someone has ripped half the faucet off. Was this not the same Elon that founds empires and lays waste to cities, virile, uncaring towards the little things? Probably not, no.
It's worth noting that our main character identifies this as masculine energy. He doesn't know anything else about himself, but he never questions that he is a man. Also, his first inclination, his first definition of masculinity is destruction. you know, there might be a little hint of self-hatred in there. Let's keep going.
Hot water sprays from the faucet's base, and steam covers the mirror. You cannot see yourself, just a vague impression of a man.
Like I said, a man.
Suddenly, you realize you have no memory of the face that awaits you there, underneath the soft vapor.
Really? Nothing?
Really, all recollection of the person you are, the people in your life, and even the world you're in has drowned in a sea of blood alcohol. This was no mere night of drinking. It was a deluge of world-ending proportions.
Now, in a lot of tabula rasa narratives, you have a character who doesn't understand the world they're in, and they serve as a viewpoint character for the audience who also doesn't understand the world they're in and will be introduced to it. That's very convenient narratively, and this game is no exception. However, unlike a lot of tabula rasa video games, you have a very definite past. You will note that in that character creation, I didn't get to choose what my character looked like in any way, shape, or form. Much like in real life, you get to choose a lot of things, but not your age or your race or, certain things about your physical body. Well, unless you happen to get lucky with the magitech and the traversing between dimensions, but, for most people, it's not really an option. Anyway. Alright, let's wipe the mirror.
You slowly reach your hand towards the surface of the mirror.
Okay. Again, this is something where ordinarily, in the vast majority of playthroughs, Inland Empire would be piping up to indicate that we should be afraid of this. But we're not going to be. Let's just get it over with. Wipe the mirror.
Behold.
Behold, indeed.
You have no idea who this thing is, do you?
Our options are, Dear Lord, help me, what is this? Of course I do. It's, is it some kind of superstar? I think I'm a superstar. Or, this is the face of a late-stage alcoholic. We're going to be going with superstar.
It appears you're also dead. There's clearly rigor mortis on your face. Or wait, is that an expression? Are you trying to make an expression with that face? Why?
I think it might be because I'm a superstar.
Please stop. It's horrible. You're scaring yourself.
No, this is what superstars do. Keep making the face.
You can't, can you? It's like it's not even voluntary anymore. You have worn that grin into your face, and now it won't come off.
It should be noted the narration here is very critical and insulting of our appearance, but quite frankly, this painting doesn't make our protagonist look that bad. This painting less so, but this painting right here would.
What does it even mean? What is the emotion you're trying to convey?
Now, here's where we see the genius of using this painterly brush style on so many of the important pieces of art. The abstraction of it allows us to see different things depending on what you're looking for. Kind of look like looking for faces in a cloud. So you could say superstardom, and yes, that certainly is a smile, and you could see this face being a charismatic talk show host, perhaps. Or we could say, I think it's supposed to look suggestive. I'm afraid it's meant for the ladies. And yeah, looking in the eyes, you can sort of get a flirtatious vibe. Or, I'm insinuating that I'm vaguely sympathetic. I think I'm sort of pulling it off, too, in a sad has-been kind of way. There is some charm to it. Yeah, you could also sort of interpret this as an expression of looking at someone with sympathy. And it's an expression of pain. Look at that eyebrow. Look at the way the skin crinkles up under the eye. If I told you this man was in pain and trying to hide it, absolutely you would buy that. Anyway, we've been going hard with superstardom. Let's continue.
You should check yourself for a pulse, superstar. From here it looks like a cadaverous spasm.
Let's check for a pulse.
You find no sign of life on your swollen neck. However, putting your hand on your chest reveals an irregular heartbeat. You appear to be alive, for now.
Now we've got two options here. Encyclopedia, dig into your mind to locate the source of the expression, or electrochemistry, Attempt to stop the expression from happening. This is 58%. Might as well. Let's give it a shot.
It belongs in the new, the third decade of the current century. Enough time had passed from the failure of the revolution that, for a fleeting moment, free market economy seemed like the ultimate, uncontested way of life for our species.
There are a couple of things that you first encounter that can clue you in that you are not in the real world. This is, in our case, the first one. The new, the third decade of the current century. Well, first of all, we're technically in the third decade of the 21st century, and if we're referring to when this game came out in 2019, that would be the 1920s, which was not called the new. And yeah, check that total out. We had to get a 13 and we got a 17 total. Very lucky with the dice. Anyway, okay, continue with the history lesson.
Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People made gold and champagne-tinted interiors and facades to suit the times, calling this the new style. But more importantly, disco happened.
Hell yes.
For Revachol, your city, that meant only one thing. Guillaume le Million.
There are 3 different people that are going to be referred to over the course of this game with the first name Guillaume. Guillaume le Million is the first. I'll try and let you know when we encounter the other 2. Because I think it's important that they all sort of line up with each other.
If it doesn't rhyme, you're not pronouncing it right.
Guillaume le Million.
Out of the dazzling swirl of disco music, in an open-air boîte de nuit, somewhere in Revachol West, Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit. Then he made the expression.
So I adopted it? Why?
Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you. Maybe it did. Either way, it's all gone now. Only the grimace remains.
I feel the need to add a clicking sound when I make it.
The click is used to spur on a horse. It also features heavily in Guillaume le Million's regional mega hit, Don't Worry, Your Pretty Little Head.
I like that we actually got a click in the middle of that. Although that was the time clicking over. It's currently 8:20. It'll make that little click noise every 10 minutes in-game. How long ago was the new?
Some 20-odd years. There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression. Looking good on you, or anyone. Humanity has run aground in that time. It's a different world now. The expression is a relic.
Anything else, like who am I? Why did I drink myself into oblivion?
You have some understanding of the near history of disco. The rest is darkness. Aside from the useless fact that the motor carriage outside was a caprice canema.
I guess that's it then.
It doesn't have to be. You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne-corked smile whenever you want to. Maybe some of the stardust will return.
Now, in theory, I could attempt this electrochemistry check, but it's only a 3%, technically 2.7 repeating, because I could only possibly win by rolling boxcars. Now, in a lot of playthroughs, you would do that, and because it's a white check, you just pop a point in the stat and come back and try it again later. But, note, we only have a cap of 1. On each of these stats, if we want to level it up, we can only do so once. Fully half the checks in this game, I can only try a maximum of twice. Unless there are other things that we find as we go, which there will be. Also, we just got our first thought. Let's check that out. Guillaume le Million. I'm not going to internalize this just yet, but I could. Temporary research bonus, -1 to logic. Head in the clouds. Research time 4 hours 30 minutes, which thankfully is in-game time. Problem. Whatever happened to Guillaume le Million? who, with his amber mane and sparkling teeth, beguiled the tattered remains of the nation. While you suffered and suffered, did he dematerialize in a cloud of cocaine dust? Or did he simply stand in the corner and melt into the slendering new lines of some starlet watched de nuit 20 years ago? Spare a thought for his great ass, too. Or wait, maybe he became a police officer in Revachol West? So this is a thought that we can put in our head to mull over as we walk around in the world. And it's our character thinking that perhaps he is in fact Guillaume Le Million. It's as good an identity as any. And perhaps this whole time other people have simply mistaken him for a police officer. It is a silly thought. We will not be internalizing it. Or at least not now. Let the mirror be. Alright. Autosave, thank you very much. Obviously, this pattern on the wall is a reference to the carpet in The Shining. Let's check this out. Again, yellow. We wouldn't see this if we didn't have our perception high enough. Take empty cassette case. Looks like someone tore out the tape while the song was playing. This reel-to-reel tape player is still on, rolling empty. Folks, don't do this to your audiovisual hardware. It doesn't like it. Let's get that shoe. Green shoe, left foot. This green crocodile leather shoe has a high heel and chrome embellishments. It fits your left foot perfectly. Now all that remains is to find the other shoe. Let's get out that door. Note that as soon as we open the door, we no longer have our hand on our head, and we can walk at a normal pace. The thought of being perceived by other people has a major impact on how your body works. There's a little birthday cake there for some reason. There's some stuff on the tables. This radio is talking about weather somewhere else in the world. Oh, what's this? No, there's something on the table. We now have 40 cents. Now, we're gonna go get our shoe first things first. Zoom out. This is as much of the world as we can see right now. We are in the Whirling in Rags. Doesn't look like a normal hostel, does it? There's someone sitting here, there's some trucks that are stopped there, there's a statue over here, magazine rack, a fence with some hole in it, and we can see tire tracks. Anyway. Smell of the sea makes you dizzy. Hello, shoe.
There they both are. Two identical shoes, both copiously green and indiscriminately snakeskin, reunited on your feet.
As you can see, we got more experience for completing the task. This is composure. He's our skill that helps us stand up straight, more or less.
Like two baby crocodiles.
This is actually a really important symbolic moment. Two baby crocodiles. We're gonna see... Well, it's a pretty good metaphor for two other matching things that were separated when a pane of glass broke. You'll get the metaphor later on in the game. How do they fit?
Good. They're balanced. Comfy. Feels like the only good thing about you right now, truth be told.
Okay. So we've got our outfit, minus our tie, which we aren't grabbing off the ceiling fan until we grab some healing items so we don't immediately die. This is the outfit that our protagonist wears by default, and what he's wearing in all the promotional material. Except in some cases he's wearing a white armored glove and carrying a gun. It is worth noting that our default outfit, as you can see here, gives us a bonus to conceptualization, which is art and creativity, a minus to suggestion, which is trying to manipulate people, +1 to esprit de corps, which is our relationship to our fellow cops, a +1 to electrochemistry, which is loving drugs and sex and wanting to do that kind of stuff. -2 to savoir-faire, that's the pants and the shoes. So we can't be smooth, or at least not as well as we normally do. But a +1 to composure, so we can more likely keep a stiff upper lip. Let's go interact with the world for real. The calendar says it's March. The year is 51. Now this plays with the player's expectations. Of course, you see 51 like that, and you're going to assume 1951. But 1951, surely you wouldn't have disco music yet. This is intended to make you off-kilter, which mirrors the way our protagonist is feeling. He's going to be confused, and he's not going to interact with the world in the correct way. That's going to be important.
Hello, officer.
That voice actress, by the way, Marine Dor. She does a couple of other voices in the game as well, but this is the most important. Clashe.
The young woman raises a cigarette to her lips.
Miss Oranje Disco Dancer.
Her eyes are brown and her face is speckled with birthmarks. She can't be more than 28. A silver jumpsuit falls off her like scale armor, sparkling. This is the sparkle of too many nights out on the city.
Officer? Am I military personnel?
No.
She seems perplexed by your question. Wait, I know. I'm a businessman, chief executive officer, right?
The young woman shakes her head slowly. Officer could be an artistic statement. You're already prone to those.
Officer is my stage name, right? I can see myself as a middling disco artist called The Officer.
No. You're a police officer, sir.
Our options are you sure? You're shitting me, or goddamn right I'm a policeman and don't you forget it. I'm gonna go with, are you sure?
I am, yes. Unless you've been feeding us a set of very well-rehearsed lies all this time.
She takes another drag. All this time?
You've been here for 3 days. On official police business, no less.
And what business is that?
Couldn't say. In truth, so far, mostly drinking.
At this point in the game, this woman knows more about us than we know about ourselves. And we are ourselves.
You have no doubt about the drinking. But do you strike yourself as a tight-lipped drunk? She must have heard something.
All right. There are these other options here that'll give us more information, but I am going to go with this suggestion check. Try the expression on her. Let her know you want her. Physically. An incredibly creepy thing to do. I don't recommend this, but, I mean, to be perfectly honest, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in this game that I would not recommend people actually do. Note that our suggestion is currently a big fat 0. That's right, because it's normally a 1 and our shirt brings it down by 1, literally the only way we can win this is by getting double 6s. But I'm going to be going with it anyway, because in this game, very often failures can be just as entertaining, if not more so, than successes.
The words have already left your mouth.
I may have already mentioned this. You may recall in the opening song that I did for the content warning, this is the femme fatale who's about to laugh at us for saying, I want to have fuck with you. See?
What was that? That's not even how words are used. What did you say? Come on, say it again.
It is extremely characteristic of Clashe here, and reveals a lot about her, that this drunken, stumbling mess of a man says, I want to have fuck with you, and she is visibly, it doesn't even occur to her to be unnerved or scared. She thinks this is hilarious. And quite frankly, she's right. I said I wanted to have sex with you.
No, you see, that's not what you said. You said...
But but she's unable to finish, consumed with laughter.
Come on, man. Pretty, please. One more time.
I said, I want to have fuck with you.
Goddamn right you did. You crazy asshole, you. What kind of cup are you?
That line is very important. What kind of cop are you? It was used in a lot of the promotional material for this game, and in a very real sense, it's the question we're going to be spending the entire playtime of this game answering. Not so much figuring out the mystery of what happened, but more importantly, the mystery of who and what we are, and what is this world we're living in. Anyway, our options are I'm a cop of the apocalypse, superstar cop, it's been established, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that, you're pretty, I'm sorry, I'm the sorry cop, or I'm not sure I'm a cop at all. I sure don't remember being one. I think I might have lied. Now, I'm going to mention that behind the scenes, there are some secret numbers, stats that we're accumulating as we go. You might have guessed that one of these is Superstar Cop. Cop of the Apocalypse, or Apocalypse Cop, is one of the others, and Sorry Cop is yet another. These are going to be very important, and they're going to determine how we conduct ourselves, but we can multi-class. It's perfectly fine. I'm gonna go with Superstar Cop. Might as well stay on a roll.
Okay, that's cool. Or if I can just maybe ask you to elaborate on that superstardom a tiny bit.
So our options are, it means I'm a bloated old drunk with sideburns and disco pants. If I don't have a joke up my sleeve, it's on me. Or, thanks to the thought that we had earlier, I am a scion of Guillaume le Million. We're gonna claim to be this famous superstar's kid. Maybe figuratively more than literally, but who knows what's going on in our head.
Or maybe you are Guillaume le Million. He'd be about your age now. Think about it. One thing, though.
She extinguishes her cigarette.
It's gonna suck for you later when you have to interrogate me.
Boy, howdy will it ever.
And for the record, no, I didn't do it.
Well, bye. That, as I said, was our femme fatale. And, we won't see her again for a while. Ooh. Looks like she left a nice long stub in the ashtray. It's still smoking. Now, this is a point where we would be getting a prompt to pick up the stub and smoke it if our electrochemistry was higher. But it's not. Alright, bye Merle. Thank you for stopping in. This is the weekend edition of the satirical newspaper Trompe le Monde. And here we get our first little bit of wordplay. For those of you who aren't fluent in French, Trompe le Monde could be literally translated as trumpet of the world, or global trumpet. Think of like the Daily Bugle. Perfectly normal name for a newspaper. But this is a satirical newspaper, and in the French language, much like in English where an elephant's trunk, the same word is used for the trunk of a tree or a steamer trunk that you keep your clothes in, trump is the word for an elephant's trunk. Also a trumpet, that makes sense, but also it can mean trick or gambit, like as in trump card. So Trompe le Monde has double meaning. It could mean the global bugle, but it could also mean to trick or fool or play a joke on the world. In fact, there's a famous joke in French, why shouldn't you play cards with an elephant? And the punchline is, un éléphant ça trompe, meaning an elephant has a trunk, but also the elephant cheats. This is probably your first sign that this game was written by a bunch of communists. Because if there's one thing communists love more than the redistribution of wealth and leftist infighting, it's wordplay and puns. The more abstract and abstruse, the better. It helps them feel intelligent, which helps them feel like what they're doing isn't stupid. Anyway, let's go downstairs. I like the chairlift. We start over here looking at this guy. But then, the Camera pans over, just so that we're sure not to miss him. He's going to be important. But we're not going to go talk to him yet. A big old karaoke mic, just waiting for someone to sing into it. Someone like a superstar, perhaps. The speaker is connected to the radio. The music is seasoned with static. This is where the lyrics would be. Now, ordinarily, again, if we didn't put a 1 in the associated stat, Inland Empire would be popping up and telling us to sing karaoke. We might still get that thought later, but for now, let's talk to this dude.
A man in his late 20s stands behind the counter, inspecting a stuffed seabird. As you approach, he gives you a sideways glance, then looks down again. Everything is cool between you and this guy. He's a big fan. Make some small talk.
Check out that failure. It was easy. All we needed was an 8, but we got a 7, presumably because our empathy is a 1 and we rolled a 6. Let's look at the stuffed bird.
A competent work of taxidermy. The white and brown seabird lies among piles of coasters and drying mugs. One of its wings broken. The man is trying to mend it. Looks like the bird was ripped off the shield that was used to mount it, most likely on a wall.
If I had to guess, it was probably over here. Anyway, blue.
This is the Great Skua. The seabird is the symbol for the discovery of the Insulindian Isola, the part of the world you are in right now.
We might learn more about the skua and its symbolism for these people later.
The small steel tag says as much. The Great Skua. Stegosaurus skua.
What happened to the bird?
Look, your buddy is over there.
He looks at the doors where a man in a bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the floor.
Why don't you go and talk to him, okay?
I'm a cop and I talk to whomever I please.
He pretends not to hear you, concentrating on the bird instead.
And thanks to our empathy failure, this is a mystery. This guy likes us. Are you the bartender?
Not the bartender. I'm the cafeteria manager.
He's very animated all of a sudden. This seems like a touchy subject.
Our composure noticed that. What's the difference?
I have 3 cafeterias to manage. 3. Sylvie tends the bar here, not me. I'm only standing in.
Interesting. Where did this Sylvie go?
She just, you know...
He shrugs.
His eyes dart from left to right. This man isn't lying, but he is hiding something.
Now, it's worth noting that our skills not only let us do stuff, but also let us see when other people are doing stuff. The drama skill tells us when people are lying, as well as allowing us to lie ourselves. She just... what?
So now you're a cop. Oh, forget it.
Well, later. Now, that is probably related to what we're about to see here. The menu has been wiped clean. Only the word Monday is written on it. It's Monday, by the way. Blue for intellect. A woman's hand wrote yesterday's menu. Today's starts in a man's handwriting. So it's implied that Sylvie originally wrote this and then Gart has taken over. Oop. Nosefed. That's for our health. And then, this is a water cooler. A large bubble is rising to the surface. Now, we have 1 health item. That's enough to chance it. Let's go back upstairs before we talk to our partner. Head back into my room here. And, first things first, take off pants, take off shoes. Yes, I know my door is open, I don't care. Look at my butt. Without those on...
There's 2 chain pull switches.
Very, very high chance of success. But even if we fail, We can heal
The
ourselves.
truly horrific necktie has somehow attached itself to one of the blades.
And click.
You swoop up and catch the tie. Snap. It's released from the blade. What you have in your hand is a truly hideous necktie with 4 or 5 different patterns. The knot reminds you of a noose.
Wait. Let's take a look at this tie. It might be significant. Also, let's put our pants and shoes back on. +1 to Inland Empire. Vivid imagination. The necktie is adorned with a garish pattern. It's disturbingly vivid. Somehow you feel as if it would be wrong to ever take it off. It's your friend now. You will betray it if you change it for some boring scarf. Thankfully, that's not actually a game mechanic. Also, we've got a dot here indicating that we have not yet looked at this. Empty cassette case. There used to be a tape in this case, but it was destroyed in a fit of rage. Something about the Atenier's single, Smallest Church in St. Seine, must have rubbed someone the wrong way. The label says the song was recorded in 43. Look how low we wear that tie. This man does not want anything compressing his neck. I can relate. I'm aware that I'm currently wearing a choker. I assure you, it's very comfortable. Alright. Hey, Clasha, can I talk to you?
The door is closed.
Try the handle.
This door can only be opened with a key or from the inside.
Knock.
There is no answer. You hear the shower being turned on somewhere inside.
Alright, let's leave. There's a whole thing we can do there where we knock on the door, increasingly more and more desperate. But much like the attempt to have fuck with her, Clasha doesn't care and doesn't feel threatened by us, which is reassuring. Down we go. There's a few other things in this room to do, but I'm not going to do them yet. Let's go ahead and bite the bullet and talk to this guy.
A bespectacled man in an orange bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the floor. Looks like he's waiting for someone. You.
Yes, the voiceover narration did say bespeckled, not bespectacled. But, I mean, maybe he's both. Also, little note about this guy, Kim Kitsuragi. A lot of other stuff in this game went through multiple iterations, but famously, this was the first sketch they did. First thought, best thought, they drew this guy and they were like, yep, nailed it. This is actually the very first concept art. Also, note the iconography. He has a nice calming white circle around his head, like a halo. It's soft, it's safe, it's sane. This man is going to be very important to us. Boy howdy, I hope we don't get him killed. Also, note the name. Kitsuragi feels Japanese, although of course Japan doesn't exist in this world. But Kim does not. And what also doesn't feel Japanese is this voice.
As you approach, he narrows his eyes and extends his hand in greeting. On the sleeve of his bomber jacket, as well as on its back, are the same enigmatic white rectangles as on your blazer.
Hello, I'm Kim Kitsuragi, Lieutenant, Precinct 57. You must be from the 41st.
That voice actor is Julien Champenois. Very much not Japanese. This is to indicate that Kim might be ethnically, well, in the game what's called Sealite, but he is Revachol through and through, and he's going to prove it more than once.
You realize he's waiting for your name.
Now, we have no idea what our name is. We could say, I don't really know my name. We could say, just call me Officer. We could attempt to roll conceptualization and invent a name for ourselves, which we have a negative to because we already kind of like the officer, or we could just stay quiet. This is a unique option. We don't often get it unless we went through that very specific dialogue chain with Clasha, so I'm gonna pick it.
Very well, officer.
He's slightly confused.
It looks like we had a little scheduling error on Sunday. Saturday too, actually. Have you had time to talk to the manager here?
What he means is, he has been trying to meet up with you for 2 days, but you have been otherwise occupied.
This is rhetoric. Hi, rhetoric. Sort of weird. Like something coming out of the mouth, but the mouth is attached to the neck. Anyway. You mean him? Nod towards the cafeteria manager. Yeah, I just talked to him.
If you don't mind, we should talk to him again. Ask him for a rundown of the area. Now that I'm here as well. I understand the scene is out back, right?
Continue.
It also wouldn't hurt to assure him the police are finally here. In full force, I mean. Have you mapped out the initial interviews?
Yes, the police. I'm aware I'm a policeman. By the way, just want to point this out. You might notice that all of these options have quotes around them. Whenever you see quotations around an option, it means that you're actually going to say that thing. If it doesn't have quotes, it's an internal thought.
Right. And the interviews?
What interviews?
At the 57th, we like to prepare an initial list of persons of interest, and then just skim the surface. Prepare the field, get to know the players. You don't do that? Maybe it's not an inter-district practice.
Might as well be honest, I haven't. Or even if I have, I don't remember, which would defeat the purpose.
Okay, we'll have time for that after we take a look at the coroner's case. Have you removed the dead body from the tree?
Voila. Plot. Dead body?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like dead bodies.
Sure. But did you take it down from the tree?
Look, man, yeah.
Does that mean the body is no longer in the tree?
Completely.
Completely. Does that mean you took the body down from the tree?
No.
So, the body is still in the tree, where it has been hanging for 7 days straight. We should go there as soon as we are done talking to the owner.
How can you be so sure I'm from the police?
I was sent here to meet a detective from Precinct 41. You have the insignia of the citizens' militia on your sleeve and on your back.
He points to your jacket.
I suppose you could be impersonating him. You could have gotten the insignia from the black market or forged it. But for now, I'm going to set those possibilities aside. I'm not from the Inspectorate General.
Inspectorate General means internal affairs. What he's saying is, he's not from the Rat Squad and isn't supposed to suspect such things.
So we can say, you mean the Rat Squad, or you mean Internal Affairs?
Yes, but I'm not them. I'm from Criminal Investigation.
You said insignia. These white rectangles, you mean?
Yes.
But they're just white rectangles.
They're not just white rectangles. They bear a halogen watermark with the letters RCM and a pattern resembling the street grid of Revachol West. I would ask you to step into the headlights of my motor carriage, but again, it's none of my concern. I just need you to do your job.
Now, if you don't have context, this might sound like a threat, like he's going to run us over. But what he means is the information on the white rectangles is revealed with certain kinds of light, and the headlights on his car fit the bill. Shouldn't I have a badge or something?
You mean you don't have a badge?
It was not on me when I woke up. Again, we could lie and say that we found it, but I don't want to lie to Kim right off the bat. It was not on me when I woke up.
Losing your identification card is a serious matter. My vehicle has a shortwave. You can use it to report your badge missing. I would advise you to locate it as quickly as possible. But getting the body down should still take precedence.
What if I told you I'm not really a police officer?
We all feel that way sometimes. There is no such thing as a police officer, I'm afraid. What remains is that there is a dead body in the tree. Someone has to figure out who put it there. If we don't, no one else will.
That line, there is no such thing as a police officer, will mean a little more later on as we understand more about the setting.
And then, soon after, dead bodies would be dangling from all the trees.
Exactly. Law enforcement, as unpalatable as it may be, is very often a stopgap solution and serves as a vital deterrent,
But first, we have to take it down.
he concludes. But I can't remember anything.
I can see you drank last night and the night before, and that you are still drunk now. But I have seen officers go through worse. Much worse.
Worse than this?
If you need something for your headache, there is a general store nearby. But as I said, the dead body should be our number one concern.
What were we supposed to do again?
Talk to the manager. Then we go out back and take the body down.
Let's roll.
After you, officer.
Kim Kitsuragi, as you can see, is now in our party. This plays with our expectations about similar RPGs. There's so much space here, and you might be forgiven for assuming that we're gonna get a whole party of cool cops and renegades. That's not gonna happen. We pretty much only have him. Again, so much of this game is based on taking advantage of the player's expectations. Oh, now that we got our tie, this finally popped up because it gives us our bonus to the relevant skill.
You should totally sing karaoke here, the first chance you get. Your emotions need to be expressed. People need to know your vast, oceanic soul.
Now, I'm gonna take a moment and talk about Inland Empire before we go any further. Film buffs among you might know that that's a David Lynch reference, but let's go into it in a little more detail. Hunches and gut feelings, dreams in waking life. Cool for dreamers, paranatural investigators, mental creators. Inland Empire is the unfiltered wellspring of imagination, emotion, and foreboding. It enables you to grope your way through invisible dimensions of reality, gaining insight into that which sight can't see. What's really going? What do these enigmatic riddles mean for the world fate? At high levels, Inland Empire animates the inanimate. You'll have conversations with your clothing, conversations that may change the course of the investigation if you're not thrown in the loony bin first. With low Inland Empire, however, you'll be void of imagination and character. And then how will you shape the cosmos? The metaphor is pretty obvious. An empire that has no connection to the outside world. Everything that Inland Empire is going to tell us is coming from somewhere inside, but not necessarily just only in your head. Anyway, let's continue. We can say, my soul is immense, my soul is modest, it's normal sized, my soul is puny, or my soul's cubic content is obscured by the hangover. I happen to think my soul is immense.
Utterly. And it needs to be heard. Through a PA system. By other people.
This goes well with the theory I'm developing that I'm a down-on-my-luck superstar persona.
Who is mistakenly identified as a cop for his prominent jawline? Yes, sounds likely. You should probably go on stage and pose for a moment when you're done with this thought. See if it works.
What should I sing when it comes to it?
You should sing the sad small church song from that tape you found. Thought it was obvious.
I was thinking I could sing something happy, get the crowd going.
No. Don't sing the happy song. It's stupid. Sing the sad song. It's profound.
Sad people all too often think this way. I, for one, like to feel as though happiness can also be profound. But given my business model, I might be slightly biased.
You would need another copy of the tape first, though. The one upstairs is destroyed.
Okie doke. And now we've got this.
As you turn, a bright light catches your eye, making you squint.
Like I said, there are different cop types, and we've hit the superstar button so many times that now we have triggered this. Cool.
So cool.
Where's it coming from?
From a distant sunset, a stage light, flash photography, nowhere in particular. It's just what superstar law officers do. They squint at lights, and they solve shit.
Actually, now that I hear superstar and law official in a sentence, they sound weird together.
What are you, deaf? They're perfect, like rock star politician and drug addict teacher. Embrace the superstardom you've worked so hard to establish.
Yeah, that's me. I've been establishing my superstardom hard lately.
Yeah, you have. You're a big dick cop, Dick Mullen, Salam Rocky Bayi, badass on-the-edge disco cop. Time to recede into a ludicrous fantasy world. Here we go. Camera, lights.
Wait, what's that about a ludicrous fantasy world?
Yeah, you know. Beneath it is just heartbreak, a pulmonary tract infection, atherosclerotic disease. This is where you say action and reconceptualize all that. Reinvent it as the world's first celebrity police officer. This is the beginning of your legend.
Fuck it. Action!
With a sudden flash, the world freezes around you, and you along with it. In an iconic monochrome solution, a black silhouette against a rasterized orange world. It's on.
So we got yet another thought there. Some kind of superstar. Temporary research bonus if we choose to internalize it, which again I am not yet doing. -2 to logic. Still seems unlikely. First, let's make this absolutely clear. No one is saying you're an actual superstar and the groupies and cocaine riddled with hepatitis C strikes a Linus pose with a mic kind of way. You're not Guillaume Lemillion or Davy Dewis. No, you're a metaphorical superstar. You bring that rock and roll authenticity and passion to a line of work where people don't expect or want to see it, where some would say it doesn't belong. Law enforcement. And let's check our missions, because we got a couple of new ones. Interview cafeteria manager. The cafeteria manager of the Whirling in Rags might know something about the murder that happened in the yard. Ask him about it. About to do so. Inspect victim's body. Inspect the body hanging in the backyard of the Whirling in Rags. This is a preliminary inspection. You just need to suppress the urge to throw up and approach it. Sing karaoke. You need to find a sufficiently tragic tape, then play it on a boombox to memorize the lyrics. Then ask the cafeteria manager to perform, preferably in the evening. More people at the bar then. Get a hold of a sad song on tape. Can do. Not for a while yet, though.
The man with the unimpressive beard notices you approaching. He drops the ledger he was holding and turns to the lieutenant.
Mr. Gart, right? You run this place.
Yes.
He responds tersely.
I am Kim Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. This is an inter-district investigation, so joining me from Precinct 41...
He looks to you, realizing he still doesn't know your name. The Harbinger of Ruin!
What?
Nothing. I just wanted to see what happens if I say that. Now I do.
What is this? A joke to you? Is this what you get when you call the police now? This guy? We've been waiting for a week here.
Sir, I understand your concern, but we are here to do a job. And for us to do it, I need you to stay calm.
Yes, of course.
He takes a step back.
I know it took us a while to arrive at the scene, but it also took you a while to call us. It was you who placed the call, correct?
No, I only just got here. It was probably Sylvie who called you. She usually works the bar here. I'm only temporarily taking over her duties.
He keeps insisting on the fact that he is the manager and does not actually tend bar here. This may have something to do with the fact that he's only in his 20s and has the unimpressive beard. He's trying to assert authority, and perhaps adulthood, in a world where the vast majority of his fellow adults are still much more experienced and mature than he is.
Do you have her number?
As a matter of fact, I do.
He looks behind a pile of coasters, finds a slip of paper, and hands it to the lieutenant. Now, that's going to be important. Why exactly does he have Sylvie's phone number on a scrap piece of paper readily at hand?
This sounds like something you can use to call this Sylvie later.
Thank you, reaction speed. I do know what a phone number is.
You said you just got here. From where? Are you a local?
What, of Martinez? No, I live in Jamrock. I only sometimes come here to keep an eye on the place. This is just one of the many, many cafeterias I manage.
By the way, we're going to find out later in the game by many, he means 3. One of which is a hot dog cart.
But you still know your way around, yes? In case we need directions.
Yes, I know where some things are, but as I said, I don't live here. I just used to work here. And I'm not going to start working here again, if that's what you think.
Defensive.
I didn't imply that.
He turns to you.
Detective.
He probably means this is where you step in and ask your questions.
So I can say, right then, questions, I've got this. Or, play the fool. Who, me? Or, no, I'm good, pass on the questions. We're going to ask Gart some questions.
His face expresses profound doubt in your having this.
I do have this.
Ask him about the body's location before asking if he killed him. People give up information in the more innocuous questions, which you can later use in the more sinister ones, not vice versa.
A good tip. Also, it may seem silly to think that the cafeteria manager is the one who committed the murder, but in our defense, so far, we know a grand total of a half dozen people. Where exactly is the body?
Behind this building, there's a courtyard.
He points to the kitchen behind
On a
him.
tree there.
And how do we get there then?
That's easy. See that door there?
He points to the
First,
west.
exit through that. Then, to your right, you should see a big hole in the fence. A really big one. You can get to the courtyard through there. No need for the keys. The hole is big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry to fit through.
Now, I will mention this game, as you can see, is an isometric perspective. Also, the camera will always be at the same angle, meaning north is always up. So when he says points to the west, he means the door that Kim was standing in front of just a moment ago. Also, that phrase, the Franco-Nigerian cavalry, is going to be important. It's a cultural touchstone. Also, that hole in the fence, we saw it earlier from the balcony.
This man means the heavy cavalry of the innocents Franco-Negro, sweeping over the plains and nations of the enemies of mankind. 5th century style, unified currency and the concept of cool came in their wake. They wore lamella and carried guns. But first and foremost, Franco-Nigerian heavy cavalry was really, really wide. That hole in the fence must be enormous.
Oh, thank you, Encyclopedia. I didn't think we were going to get that. All right. Who killed him?
I don't know who killed him. I'm not the police. That's your job.
Honestly, fair point.
This is it. He said they hoisted him up on a tree. Who is this they, if he doesn't know?
Could be a non-binary person, or could be a group. Before you said they hoisted him up on a tree, who did you mean by they?
Oh, people are saying it was the union dock workers, that it was a lynching.
Who exactly is saying that?
The locals, the customers, the people who eat here. A lot of dock workers eat here. Sylvie told me everyone knows the dock workers did it.
Continue.
Did the debarders themselves tell her this, or is it a rumor?
I don't really know. You'll have to ask her.
Why would the dock workers lynch this man?
I would suppose it's because they have nothing better to do.
You mean the strike?
Yes, the strike. The man
Nice.
they had
Quotation
was a
mark.
security guard for the harbour company, I hear. A mercenary. The unionistas probably thought they'd send a message.
Now, again, this game is playing with our expectations. We know that we are near the ocean. So when you think dock workers, you assume ocean-going ships. But that's not actually what's happening. But of course, we won't find that out until later. Unless you took a really close look at that opening painting in the first menu. So, did you kill him?
What are you, crazy? Of course I didn't kill him.
I have another question.
The lieutenant turns the page in the little notebook he's been scribbling in.
Why did Sylvie go away?
Haven't you asked me that already? What is it with you and this woman? She has nothing to do with this.
No, before I asked you where. Now I'm asking you why she left.
Okay, you got me. She went away because of the dead body out back. And because I asked for her number. That's why Sylvie went away. I hope you appreciate that.
Thank you.
The lieutenant says. He opens his little notebook at the cover. The number is safely tucked away in a small pocket. We could say mystery solved or didn't go well.
I asked an employee out. She didn't want to come, but felt obliged to. It was a bad idea. Now, what is so goddamn fascinating about that for you? It's got nothing to do with the lynching.
Gart, again, being very defensive about an objectively bad thing he did. If you're someone's supervisor, don't ask them out. Of course, he knows that, and there's really nothing to be gained by browbeating him further. But still, I'm gonna say, this stuff gets on my nerves. I am a feminist.
What?
That's right. If there's one thing I know about myself, it's that I'm a total raging feminist.
Is that so? Mr. Feminist?
He catches the rest before it leaves his mouth, probably thinking it's best not to say anything. Thought gained. Inexplicable feminist agenda. before we continue, I just want to show you this. Inexplicable feminist agenda. Temporary research bonus +2 authority against men. Something stirs in you. Something interdisciplinary. Is it a newly formed reaction to the tyrannical gender roles around you, or something you've always had? One thing is for sure, you're not a mild feminist. Oh no, these are incendiary thoughts aimed at undermining the very pillars of society. Could you fashion them into some sort of weapon, perhaps? A first strike weapon to decapitate the XY chromosome hegemony? Again, we're not internalizing that one yet. We're saving our slots. That's all.
Let's go.
Not so fast, Mr. Feminist. You owe me 130 real.
Real, probably derived from French or some other similar Romance language, meaning royal. What's real?
Oh, excuse me. You owe me 130 real.
He pronounces the R with a mock aristocratic accent.
The IIR, or Inter-Isolary Real, is the global reserve currency. Whatever part of the world you're in right now, it's safe to assume he means you owe him some money.
Oh, I understand. You mean I owe you money?
Wow, you're a genius. Yes, that's right, money. You owe this establishment 130 real.
He points to the red ledger on the counter. What do I owe this place for?
Let's see.
He dramatically turns a
Tariff
page.
of 20 real comes to 60 real.
Checks
Then
out.
there's the window you annihilated. The hole in the window was the first thing I saw when I came to work. So don't try to tell me you didn't. That will be 40 real in damages.
It's interesting that he has a standard rate for broken windows.
Another thing you've annihilated is half the bar. You've run a tab of 30 real. Actually more, but we'll round it down to 30 for your hard work maintaining the stability and order of Revachol. That's 60 plus 40 plus 30 equals 130 real. And yes, real is still money.
But what exactly is money?
What are you, a philosopher?
Since I woke up, I have trouble remembering even the most basic concepts of reality.
Money is what grown-up people use to pay for things. Things like this hostel room, or 8 bottles of potent blend, and 9 packs of Royal Extra. We use it for everything, really.
Boy, do we ever. Interesting. Where do I get it from?
Are you serious? From your work? I don't know. You can take bribes, I guess. I'm sorry. I don't think cops can take bribes.
Some do take recompense, but only to survive.
It is worth noting, we're going to find out later that, as a matter of fact, we are allowed to solicit donations. It's usually not a good sign in any country when the local law enforcement is hitting up the people they're interviewing for donations, but in this case it's allowed, probably because we derive our authority, as we'll find out later, from the Coalition. And the Coalition probably wants their well-paid employees to have an easy time whenever they're walking around Revachol. Money makes the world go round. Why do I need it?
For survival, to pay me. Unless you want to become a hobo. Do you want to become a hobo? There's nowhere else to stay in Martinez, and it's a cold spring outside. Money doesn't make you happy, but it lets you be unhappy for a while longer.
It's worth noting he is absolutely correct. If we don't pay him, it is possible to die at night if you try to sleep anywhere other than indoors.
If you run out of money, you die.
Yep.
It's like that for all of us. Me too. That's why I need you to pay me. I'm not an asshole.
That's what he's telling himself. I mean, again, don't we all? Is this money?
Yes, it is.
Alright, that's 10 plus 10 plus 20 equals 40. I'm now down to 90, right?
No, you see, that's 40 cents. Cents are a form of currency 100 times smaller than the real. I'm not even going to take this. Come back when you have 130 real.
100 times smaller?
Yes,
But that's horrible.
it is.
He stands silently, looking at the coppers on the counter.
Isn't it evil? The order of magnitude between what is asked of a person and what they have.
Darkness rides.
It does, doesn't it?
There's a shuffle of nylon as Lieutenant Kitsuragi looks for something in the pockets of his orange bomber.
What happens now?
I'm sorry, but he has to pay. I can't let him stay here any longer if he doesn't. If he doesn't have the money by tonight, then...
He shrugs.
Officer, maybe you're better off working this from home for now. You live in Jamrock, right? It's not that far away.
That's the second time they've mentioned Jamrock. Dart and I both live there, wherever there is. Your options are, isn't there somewhere else I can stay around here? I don't have a home. I don't remember where my home is. Fuck this place. I'll take my chances on the streets. Or I'll see what I can do. I'll take my chances on the streets.
No, don't. There's no need.
A pattern of
You really
creases
need to
appears
take
on his
this out of
forehead.
your station. I have a shortwave radio in my car. Call them. Ask for assistance. We have to get this investigation started now.
Good luck.
Oh, thought.
By the way, where is home? The address is coming up blank, and this place sure isn't it.
Do I even have one?
But you've been at this hostel cafeteria for only 3 nights. Where were you before? You had to be somewhere.
So our options are, I don't know, near, south maybe, far away, or up on Marvel Hill.
Why did you say that?
Lieutenant Kitsuragi, do you know a place called Marvel Hill?
No. But isn't that an expression, not a place?
An expression?
A saying. Up on Marvel Hill, a great high place. One that is impossible to climb back to.
That doesn't sound like somewhere you can stay if you run out of money.
I'll live in a dumpster, I don't care. Fuck everything, hobo cop.
Entertain the thought when you get the time. Maybe being a hobo and a cop has its advantages.
Alright, now we've got a thought we're finally going to internalize. I've been waiting for this one. A cop and a hobo. A hobo cop, upsides, can be disheveled, doesn't have to wash, carries himself with lurched gusto. Hobo cop doesn't need anyone or anything. No one can kick you out because you don't have a home. Never pay rent again. Never again here. You're drunk. Why did you even come here, Harry? Go home. You're embarrassing yourself. Downsides. Are there any? I mean, seriously, give me one. It's worth noting at this point in the game, in theory, our character does not know his name. But there are many hints throughout that our name is Harry. This is just what our brain auto-filled as something someone is yelling at us. Probably a pretty realistic memory. Internalize. Now, I want to point out this painting here. All of the thoughts have a little section of a larger painting. You can stitch them together and see the full thing. Alright, so we're gonna go to the body, but first things first, we do need to talk to this woman.
Hello, sweetie.
The elderly woman turns to you with a smile.
Wait, who's Sweetie? Her eyes move up and down your person as though taking your measurements. Her attention is scientific.
Well, of course, she's the cryptozoologist's wife. She knows a thing or two about cryptids like myself. Who's Sweetie?
Why, you are, officer.
Maybe I am.
And have you found anyone to be sweet to?
Our options are, no, I'm done with mating rituals this time around. I don't know, wink, maybe I have. I had once, wink twice, but then I lost her. Or, I don't really want to talk about that right now. I think I'll flirt with the old lady in the wheelchair who is explicitly someone else's wife. I don't know, maybe I have.
You rascal. I'm too old for you, and too married besides. You must forgive me. I'm getting so scatterbrained. I completely forgot to introduce myself.
She slaps herself on the forehead.
I'm Lena. My husband Morel and I are staying with our friend Gary just down the street, but I come here for tea when they're away.
Her eyes glitter over the rims of her glasses as she looks up, smiling.
This Lena is wacky enough for the Motley Crew. Hire her on the spot.
So our options are, you seem to be in a chair. How'd you like to roll with me? I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't know where I am or what I'm doing, or anything. Sweetie needs money. Do sweeties get money? Or, I gotta get going now. I think this is the more important priority.
Yes, officer. You look rather dazed. Like a stunned fox. But surely things can't be that bad.
Her eyes follow your movements with some concern. Kind of like a doctor checking out a concussion patient. Our options are, I drank so hard I forgot literally everything. I hope you're right. I hope it's not too bad. Or, yeah, I'm blowing this whole thing out of proportion. Forget I said anything. We're not going to give in to toxic masculinity and pretend nothing's wrong. I drank so hard I forgot literally everything. Let's just be honest.
Oh my. You know where we are, right?
So our options are the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. It was on my keys. We're in Revachol on Insulinde. It's worth noting we got these from our encyclopedia checks earlier. We otherwise might not know them. I don't really know. Some seedy hotel? A war zone at the edge of the world. Or if you want to get real creepy with her, we're dead, haunting each other. We're ghosts! I think I'm going to say, I don't really know. Some seedy hotel?
A seaside hostel called the Whirling in Rags, to be precise. And the Whirling itself is in Revachol.
And our options are, okay. All I know is that Revachol used to be really cool in the 30s. Or, honestly, I don't know diddly squat about Revachol. What kind of place is this?
How would I even begin to tell you? Revachol is the most beautiful city in the world. We're fortunate to be here, you and I. I haven't seen very many other cities personally, but everyone says so. Revachol is a rare jewel. This city used to rule the world, though it has seen better days.
There's a pause as she studies your expression. You must look quite lost.
Speaking of history, you know what year it is, yes?
So our options are, it's the spring of 51. Sure, it's the year 973. All I know is, we are approaching the end times. Or, it's a bad year in my late 40s. Or 50s? I don't even know how old I am. Now, fortunately, we saw the calendar upstairs, so we know it's the spring of 51. Might as well get this one right.
That's right, dear. How splendid. Here, take this pen. Knowledge should always be rewarded.
Her relief is palpable. She was getting pretty worried about you there, but now she relaxes her shoulders.
So we got the kind green ape pen.
I can tell that this is taxing for you, so I'll just ask one more question. What regime are we living under? What mode of government?
That's an important question. Spoiler alert, a lot of this game is going to be about politics, and this kind of question is one that we're going to encounter very often. Our options are some kind of democracy, maybe? I'd like to think it's the dictatorship of the proletariat, but something tells me it's not. Our leaders are fierce warriors who traverse the plains on steeds. Civilization cowers before us. We are governed by intelligent machines that perform calculations to determine the freest market. Everyone hustles and grinds like a badass visionary. Radios are being used to control people's minds and distort our perception of reality, concealing our true masters, foreigners and women. Or cop. We are living under the cop regime. I think I'll give the communist answer.
Oh, sweetie.
She smiles a sad smile.
Really not. There used to be people who thought that way. Other people who wanted those things, but they all went extinct.
Extinct is an interesting word choice. Fitting that she's a zoologist, of sorts.
Revachol is a zone of control led by an alliance of foreign powers called the Coalition. We have almost no government of our own, and certainly no dictatorship of the proletariat.
But they still have cops.
If there's no government, how come there are cops?
Oh dear, this is troubling. You really ought to know that, being one yourself. There aren't any cops in Revachol, not in the traditional sense. The status of law enforcement has been a complicated matter since the revolution. But we should stop for today, sweetie. You look like you need a break. Besides, I'm not the best person to explain the big things to anyone.
So, how did I do?
You didn't do too well, dear. You really only knew what year it is. It does look like you're having trouble remembering things. History and places. Reality, in a word. It's very odd.
A sigh. The lieutenant buries his nose in his notebook.
But maybe a fresh set of eyes is what the world needs, and while I'm no doctor, such bouts of amnesia are often temporary, so I wouldn't worry too much.
What is the revolution you mentioned?
A defeat, I'm afraid. The people of this archipelago tried to build something new, something different. The rest of the world didn't like it, so they came and ended it. This was 42 years ago.
Now, it's worth noting that, as I mentioned, the developer, Studio Zom, and more importantly, the creator of the Elysium setting, Robert Kurvitz, is Estonian. Estonia was occupied by the Nazis, and then later occupied by the Soviet Union, who then left during the Singing Revolution in 1991, when Kurvitz was 6.5. So he grew up in a world where a country had been taken over by Nazis and then taken over by communists and then declared independence. So this kind of thing might hit closer to home for him than it would for people in some other countries. What does that have to do with there not being any cops?
It has something to do with everything. I really don't know how to explain it better.
Who could tell me more?
Someone more educated in sweeping matters. Maybe you should ask.
She turns to the lieutenant.
No, I'm
He
not
looks
an
away.
encyclopedia. I won't be a guide either. I'm a detective.
Of course.
She turns to you.
Then I don't know. Someone rich, maybe? Wealthy people are educated. Though I don't know where you would find a wealthy person in Martinez.
That's a good point. This doesn't look like Rich Central.
Okay, I'm not going to ask these other questions because, quite frankly, they're just kind of awkward. Actually, you know what? Change my mind. You seem to be in a chair.
Yes, dear. I'm a paraplegic.
A paraplegic is someone with limited or no ability to use the lower half of their body. Paraplegia is caused by spinal cord injuries, like falling from a great height, or a grenade explosion.
We are so rude. There's something inspiring about a woman on the front line, leading her platoon of men.
No, dear. I'm not quite that old. Although I was injured in the line of duty.
Were you a mountaineer?
Nothing so glamorous, dear. Though when I was young, I dreamt of planting the Revacholian flag on some figurative peak.
Figurative is important here. You will note she's a cryptozoologist. She's probably talking about making a discovery of some sort. What did you do then?
I was a training and development manager at a rapidly expanding mail order shoe company. You'd think it would be a safe job, but I had to be everywhere, and, well, once I happened to be under some faulty scaffolding. I was lucky. This was almost 20 years ago, and I was compensated exceptionally well. One can only dream of such payoffs nowadays.
She runs her hands over the chrome wheels of her chair. I'm sorry. It was rude of me to mention the wheelchair. Let's move on.
That's quite all right. I'm used to people asking questions. I know they're thinking about it anyway.
Alright. Definitely not going to ask these other two. There's one more thing that I really want to do before we finish up here. I've got to get going now.
Of course, dear. Good luck with your case.
She gives you a small wave. So here we go. Alright, so now we're outside. And this is where the scene is. First of all, let's check out this fence, which again is highlighted yellow. We wouldn't even think to look at it if our perception wasn't this high.
You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic.
Why am I looking at this?
Cop habit. You look at everything. This isn't case related, you think.
What kind of vehicle drove through here?
Hard to say. Your vision is blurred and you're having difficulty concentrating thanks to your relentless hangover.
Alright, let's try visual calculus again. I'm pretty confident about this one.
The tire tracks were left here by an unknown event that took place some days ago. It's a message, written in the language of burnt rubber.
Continue.
Some of that rubber stuck to the tiles right in front of the whirling in rags. This is point A. The driver started there, and then accelerated straight into the fence, left a hole big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry, according to the cafeteria manager.
What happened next?
The driver proceeded to back out of the yard, barely stopping before hitting the adjacent building, before heading south. Must have been in a hurry.
A car drove through the fence.
You are correct. This is a rather motor carriage-friendly city.
Is this connected to the case?
I'm not sure. There are plenty of traffic accidents waiting to happen in Martinez. With the jam right here on the roundabout, I would keep them separate.
That jam on the roundabout is going to be important later.
You could follow the track south. There seems to be a canal there. See where they went, if you find the time.
Oh, we will. I think I got it. Alright. Let's head up here. And here's a kid. And here's the body. The kid is throwing rocks at the body.
Kuno's got this.
The boy throwing rocks at the dead body can't be older than 12.
If there ever was such a thing as an ugly kid, then this is it. He's almost exquisite in his ugliness, like a gremlin.
Oh yeah, Nappa Gumpy, Kuno!
Yells the other kid behind the fence. And here is where we get our second piece of multilingual wordplay. Napakumpi is Finnish. Although, of course, in the context of Disco Elysium, it's a fantasy language, but Finnish is standing in. Literal translation would be Napa, meaning belly button or navel, and Kumpi is the number 10. But figuratively, as you can tell from context, it means bullseye. However, in this case, it might actually be literal, since Kuno is throwing rocks at someone who has their shirt off. So she could be indicating that he literally hit him in the belly button and therefore scored 10 points. It's pretty clever, honestly. Alright. Hey kid, a word, police business.
Right in the dick, Kuno! Get him right in the dick!
The children ignore you.
Love it in the dick.
This is the one word they're really gonna censor. Although it is context dependent. Later on in the game, someone will refer to a cigarette with the abbreviated version of this, and it doesn't get censored. That's how you know this was written by a human being who understands context.
The boy is sweating profusely. His eyes are like two black holes and his jaw is twitching as if trying to break free from the empire of his body.
Hold on, what does that mean?
The kid is obviously high.
Stop getting high at my crime scene.
Fuck that! Kuno, yeah! Right in the mouthhole!
Shits himself.
These kids are terrible.
The rake, Kuno! You should throw the rake at him, Kuno!
The fuck? Does Kuno know what a rake is? Kuno's not a gardener.
Kim, what should we do?
We shouldn't do anything. I don't tempt such forces.
What forces?
You will see.
The language these kids are using, pure unfettered id. There will be no reasoning with those creatures.
Are you kids siblings?
The fuck are you talking about?
He throws another rock.
He's calling us Kuno! He says we're fucking each other!
It hits a lot less hard once you realize that these kids don't actually understand what they're saying. Look, I have questions for you.
Alright, entertain the Kuno. Show me what you got. What you got there? What you got, huh? Show me what you got.
The kid moves his hands like a basketball player dribbling fast.
The body, what do you know about it?
Shitload pig. What's your question?
Don't tell the pig shit, Kuno!
This is where you quickly ask him questions. Real cop questions. Like a cop.
Do you know who he was?
Kuno's fuck imp. Kuno uses the fuck imp for target practice.
He's trying to hide the fact that he doesn't know.
I mean, who he was before he died.
Kuno's not a snitch. That's all. Trying to make Kuno sing into the popo phone.
Do you know how it got up there?
Probably climbed. Kuno was busy down the road when that shit went down.
So you didn't see it happening?
You heard Kuno. Kuno wasn't even in Martinez. Kuno wasn't in Revachol. Kuno wasn't regional.
The city's too large for him to have left. But he wasn't here either. So where was he?
You didn't really leave the city. Where were you?
Told you, pig bacon. Kuno doesn't do regional. Kuno's been to places you wouldn't dream of. Fucking Mesk. Or, I dunno, some other place. Night City. Kuno was in fucking Night City.
There is no Night City anywhere. That sounds like the name of a city in some pulp science fiction novel.
Where is Night City?
Kuno gives this info out on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know.
He draws snot up his nose.
Kuno didn't smoke the gimp, if that's what you meant.
Thanks, Kuno. That's one name you can now cross off the list.
Have you seen anyone suspicious around?
Just a couple of pigs sniffing around in the dirt. That seems pretty fucking suspicious to Kuno.
Yeah, you tell the faggoty, Kuno.
Yes, that means what you think it means, and they don't censor it when it isn't in English. More on this later. Right now, let's talk about something else.
You're testing Kuno's patience here.
Get lost,
You know what? We'll deal with this kid
Kuno
later.
doesn't fucking care.
Thanks, Kuno. Have a good time. Bye. Please don't throw a rock at me.
The corpse looks at you with bulging white eyes. The face around them does not look human. It's swollen and ready to burst. His lips are fish-like and his tongue like a ball gag in his mouth.
Gross.
You seem to be holding your breath.
Look down.
A cargo belt twists his neck at an unnatural angle. The body below appears stiff. It's letting out an ungodly rot. The smell seeps in even through your clenched nostrils.
God, what is that? Why is it so bad?
Active decay. It's okay to throw up, officer. No one is judging.
He's about to blow. Cop's gonna blow, Kuno.
I have basically no chance of this, but we're gonna do it anyway.
The smell is repulsive. It pushes in from your mouth, more instant and more familiar than anything you'd expected. More fever than odor. It fills your mind, flushing you from within.
Like I said in the content warning song, this game has vomit. Not a lot, don't worry.
Too late. It's impossible to keep in. Your body curls and pushes it out, burst by burst, until a pool of vomit lies under your feet and your throat stings from the stomach acid. Smell of Commodore Red rises from the pool. Among it, distilled spirit and bits of shish kebab.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Happens to everyone. Keep it.
He's giving us his handkerchief. Thanks.
The hangover is clearly making this worse for you. You could use some ammonia to clear your head.
Okay, where do we get ammonia from?
There is Frit nearby, east of the hostel. They usually have a small apothecary. If they don't...
He points to the greenhouse.
There's a greenhouse here, and a gardener with a wheelbarrow on the corner of the whirling in rags. If she works here, she might have something for the smell.
Pretty clever.
Alright. Let's go talk to the gardener. We're coming up on 2 hours on this stream, so I will be ending soon. Zoom in here.
The RCM in Martinez. What can I help you with?
She seems very nice and helpful, and there's no way that's going to change. You sound surprised.
We don't see a lot of police around here, that's all.
I have some questions for you.
Of course. What can I help you with?
My partner told me you may have ammonia. Can I have some?
Sure. I'm done with it.
She takes a small capsule out of her breast pocket and hands it to you.
Go easy on that stuff. It gave me a terrible headache.
We need directions.
Of course. Where to?
Where am I?
What do you mean?
I'm a bit disoriented. This is Revachol, right?
Yes, sir. District of Martinez.
She looks around, thinking what else to say.
This intersection is called Roundabout North.
He knows where we are. He just wants directions.
The lieutenant seems uncomfortable with the level of disorientation you are displaying. What's up in the north?
There's the pier, the Cape Side apartment buildings, some more tenements. Not a lot, really.
What's in the east?
The harbor gates. Some kind of commotion, I think. I don't follow the local politics.
That's a lie.
Store 2.
Oh, what's in the south?
Some shops and a bridge. The canal bridge leads to the coast, but it's broken, I think. Some kind of accident, probably.
What's on the other side of the canal?
Just coast. There's a little fishing village there, and a fish market. But that got closed down ages ago.
What's in the west?
It's just water. No, actually, I think they call it the Martinez Inlet. There are some islands in the bay, but they're hard to reach.
Thanks, that's all for now.
No problem.
She nods, brushing a fleck of soil off her cheek.
Of course.
I have to run.
I won't hold you back.
She wipes her brow with the canary yellow glove.
If there's a corpse, then you're going to need those gloves for the autopsy.
Thanks, interfacing. One more thing, can I borrow your gloves?
Sure, keep them. I have another pair.
She hands you the rubber gloves with no visible annoyance. Thank you. Definitely gonna put these on. Love this look. Also, let's take a look at some of the items we've already received. The kind green ape pen that we got from Lena. A pen with a green ape head on one end. The ape has closed its eyes, a kind expression adorning its face. It seems to be meditating. Lieutenant's handkerchief. A handkerchief given to you by Lieutenant Kitsuragi. One corner is adorned with lace and a tiny embroidered portiere. Ampoule of ammonia. A thin glass tube wrapped in cotton netting used to treat fainting spells, produced by St. Baptiste Pharmaceuticals. Alright, let's go back. And now that we've got ammonia, we can try to approach the body again. But given the fact that our endurance is a 1, we're probably still gonna fail. We'll see. Smells like spoiled meat and curdled dairy. A human being decomposes.
There he still is, looking right through you with his white eyes. The body below is entirely dedicated to that corpse smell. Emitting it is all it does now.
Let go of your nose without throwing up. We can do the check again because we have ammonia now. Like I said, ordinarily to retry a white check, you would have to put a point in the skill. But in this case, we got a modifier, so we can do it without that. Still, we only win this on boxcars.
The ammonia only makes it worse. The combination forces tears out of your ducts. You managed to keep it in once.
Second verse, same as the first.
The second time, not so much. When the vomiting is done, your cheeks are wet with tears.
The ammonia didn't help at all.
Nor does the wind right now.
You feel the lieutenant pat your back rhythmically.
I've seen strong men turn themselves inside out for hours. You are facing tough odds here. Alcohol withdrawal makes it considerably harder.
Why can't I keep it in if I've been a cop my whole life?
I've seen captains puke their guts out. It never gets easier. You never get used to the smell. Every Monday is cadaver day. Throw up, investigate. Throw up, initial autopsy. Throw up, bag it.
Bag the throw up or bag the corpse? He pats her back again.
Then drive to the station. Maybe throw up on the way there if you didn't bag the thing tight enough.
You seem to be fine.
I think I've lost my sense of smell.
There's a pause.
A white lie.
No, he's not fine.
Not being hungover helps too.
Can't we do something else? I think I want to solve something else now.
That's probably a good idea. Clear our head. But before we can do that,
He withdraws his hand from your back and looks you in the eye.
you need to get your shit together.
But I don't want to get my shit together. Sounds like work.
Then the world will turn away from you and leave you behind.
Okay.
We should go talk to the locals. Find something else to do while the wind changes. It's pretty bad right now.
It's worth noting, like I said, this game is going to be full of mirrors. And take a look at this. A white male in his mid-40s who is wearing only a pair of briefs and some weird socks. Looks familiar, doesn't it?
Give it half an hour. Get yourself together. Then come back and have another go.
Turn away. That's another thought that we're going to get started. The volumetric shit compressor. And just as Kim estimated, it's going to take me a half an hour. In-game time. Temporary research bonus, none. Your shit is apart, and it's rather unbecoming of a cop and a human being. It's supposed to be the opposite of that. Together. compressed in a small area. To achieve a solid level of shit compression, squeeze your butt cheeks together for 30 minutes. Do something similar with the 2 hemispheres of your brain. Talk to people. Maybe that will help. We're going to internalize that as well. So we got 2 thoughts going at the moment. Hobocop, which is 19% of the way along, and volumetric shit compressor, which we will learn what the deal is there in a half an hour. And by a half an hour, I actually mean a week. Because, folks, that's been 2 hours of gaming, and we're going to put a pause on this. Like I said, if you want to play this game without being spoiled, I highly, highly, highly recommend download it. Not that expensive. You can get it done in a week before the next stream. But for now, I have been Wanda Wix. Thank you all so very much for joining me, and I'll see you next week for more Disco Elysium.